You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon. On this show, we continue our streak of awesome interviews with the one and only Helle Frederiksen, the winner of Challenge Bahrain and $100,000. This is a really great interview because it's not just Helle, but it's also her coach, Joe Filliol, and her fiance, Ben Powell, who is a former pro triathlete, and her fiance. So we get to ask Helle and the people around her all kinds of questions about her training, about what the race was like, her future in the sport of triathlon. Is she going to do Kona? What's next? What's it like training with her? I asked Ben. And how do you try to keep up with somebody like this? And then what are some things that she's doing in training and racing that Joel likes, and maybe some things that they might change? You know, what's going on? And it's an hour-long interview. It is really great. I'm really, really happy to bring it to you. Also, later on in the show, I talked to you about a variety of training and nutrition and all kinds of aspects of triathlon, so that you can go deep and learn more about what it takes to do endurance sports. Some of the things I cover are knee pain on the bike and how to get rid of it, what might be causing it, and also I go over some of the features of the 920 XT, the new watch from Garmin, and also some features and why I picked the certain data screens that I do on the Garmin 510, which is a dedicated bike computer. We'll talk a little bit about live tracking and so on and so forth. So chock full show of really cool stuff. So let's not wait any longer. Let's go ahead and get Helle on the phone and get started with this great interview. Here we go.
Welcome to the next level.
All right, we are here with Helle Frederiksen and Joel Filliol. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Good?
Very good.
So this is really exciting. We did a phone call like this earlier, Helle, with Jordan Rapp, and then also where we had Joel on the phone. And then also I saw on Slow Twitch that you two did a Ask Me Anything, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of interaction, which is really nice to see that, the interest, and also, that we can share a little bit and hopefully teach people a little bit, it's just nice to share.
Yeah. Well, what was the most surprising question you two got on there, you think?
Like for me, it was more like, it seems like regarding training, that it seems like there must be some secret methods to get good results, whereas it seems like it comes as a surprise that there isn't. It's just really just simple and hard work. Yeah.
Same with you, Joel? I know you've been saying that for a while. I've noticed you saying that for a while.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It's there's some either protocol or some sort of magic there, but it's not our approach. It's fairly simple and probably boring if people were to go over the detail of it, but it's what's the right thing for the athlete at the time. And endurance sport is fairly simple at its core, so we stick to what works, the fundamentals, really.
Yeah. Well, to the race, let's talk about that for a second in Bahrain. The $100,000 that you won, Helle, that is wild. What? Well, first off, do you have to pay taxes on that or not?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's normal income.
And then after taxes, what are you planning on spending that on?
I haven't really planned a lot. We would like to buy a house in US at some point, hopefully
cool.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that then they come in handy. Also having a wedding plan for late next year, so I'm sure that those money will be spent well.
Yeah, you'll spend it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like obviously, you never plan to win a race like that, so
Right.
it's just a very nice bonus. And the biggest thing for me is the depth of the field. That was why the victory was so amazing.
Yeah, and while you were in Bahrain, what was the weirdest thing that you saw there?
I actually expected it to be more Middle East and more like you could really tell there was a huge cultural differences from the Western world, but
Right.
it wasn't that much. Like I had read quite a lot about the country before getting there, so that I would, act in respect for them and dress appropriately and stuff like that. So it didn't really I didn't really surprise me. A lot of the things that I did see, like also like obviously it is, they build a lot of big things down there, but I knew that already.
Right.
It did surprise me that it was that Western. So I didn't feel, I was probably over prepared, I would say, for the culture that I probably didn't see that much.
Yeah, and in the race itself, with the 20 meter, was it 20 meter or 25 meter? It was 20 meter, wasn't it?
20.
The drafting rule. Were you able to tell like a huge difference between that and the 12 that, like, say most races do, or was it about the same, or do you think they should do this in more races?
Oh yeah, certainly. Like it's much more fair racing. Like you literally don't get a benefit sitting on 20 meters. You only get the mental benefits of, having people to look at or being kind of in the game.
Right.
But you're not sitting there and losing content and not being so concentrated. But definitely, I think 20-meter rule is the way to go, for sure. Because when you're sitting on 12 meters, you feel some sort of benefit from sitting there a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and that changes up the race dynamics, right? People are trying to hang on, so and so they
here,
don't lose
like
that.
obviously, there's also a lot of tactics going on, and it is a benefit to be together with people. But as I said, that is more the mental benefit.
Right. So I got a question for Joel, and also Ben Powell might be in the background. Your fiance, is he there?
Yeah, he is in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Joel and Ben, what is something about Helle that people may not know?
Boy, that's a good one. Well, I probably would think back to, it's not necessarily a very personal thing, but I think back to that slow twitch thread and that Ask Me Anything. And, I think a lot of people assume, even for 70.3 middle distance, that, the volumes that, something like Helle is doing, to win these races must be quite extreme. And, no, really that's not the case. And there's probably a fair few age groupers that maybe don't do exactly the same volume, but are not too far away. And, it's really what we do with those hours. So, that's something that, that came up in that kind of thread was, the image of a pro's training and what that is like versus their reality being so different for each athlete. And, and I think that's, something that any age grouper can take away, is what's right for them, and what's right for Helle will be very different than many of the other athletes who are on the start line. So, I think that as a general theme, that's what came to mind anyway. But maybe Ben's got a better answer.
Yeah. I won't go too personal, because maybe I won't be getting married at the end of next year. So I'll try and keep it as on task as possible. But I think one of the biggest things that I recognize, which is maybe unique to Helle, is Helle doesn't need a lot in terms of training location or variety. So, we've been in locations in the past where we've literally done intervals for maybe 7 weeks in a row on the same stretch of road, because that's all we had available.
Right.
And I think, a lot of people have this impression that triathlon is an exotic lifestyle or an exotic, profession, and they get to go wherever they want to go and, train wherever they want to train. And it's like we actually, Helle's probably one of the best that I have seen anyway at being able to be in a location or an environment and go up and down on the same stretch of road, run the same path, and literally just bang that out day after day and not get bored, and I think that's one of the the biggest things that I recognize anyway with Helle.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I if I'm faced with a repetitive environment, I actually like it. I think it's more of a challenge now, and that's interesting in its own way. So.
Yeah, I guess if you know that, what's the end goal, you know that this is what it takes to get to that end goal, then you will do it.
Yeah, the point is to get faster or stay fast, right? So
yeah, certainly.
The location's kind of just nice.
Yeah, it is lovely, but like literally, if you are doing very hard sessions, you're not looking at the location. If you are, you're not pushing hard enough.
Yeah. So
you're only looking.
So with your off season, you're majorly in the not training right now to take a break, or so what is off season training or not training actually look like? Are you still out exercising? Or are you just hiking around and doing stuff, or what's going on?
Yeah, my off season is pretty short. Like I came back to Denmark straight after Bahrain, so 2 days after I arrived back in Denmark, and the first, I'll say 5 days, I didn't do much else than see a lot of friends and drink some wine and eat not that healthy. And that was really nice. And then I started to add a little bit of running, so I'm doing a little bit of running, just keep going, and now I'm slowly adding a little bit of swimming as well. But it's really just to keep the body moving, so the transition back to training won't be so tough on me.
Yeah.
It's really just, you just do whatever you feel like. It's not to any schedule or anything. If I don't feel like running today, I can do it tomorrow. So it's just really, really a relaxed approach, and then, recovering and then just relaxing, really, because that's the only time you really do it in the year.
Right. But you mentioned in another interview, and I can't put my finger on where it was, that weight, your body weight, anybody's body weight maybe, has a lot more to do with eating the right macronutrients. I don't know if you remember writing this. It may have been in the Slow Twitch AMA. Than pretty much anything else. And that actually you can maintain a healthy, or I don't know, race-ready body weight maybe, by eating more of the right foods or more of the right macros. And what are more of those right foods? What are those foods?
Yeah, like I try to I see the food as fat, carbohydrates, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. So when I have done a session, I'm thinking, okay, I know I need proteins, I need some carbs, and I would like to eat food and not like all sorts of supplements. And it doesn't really matter what it is that I'm getting, as long as I get those micronutrients, so that I know I will recover faster and be ready to train again the next morning or in a few hours if it's that. So I'm really just approaching it by eating as varied as I can, and I'm trying to eat quite organic, so quite like whole food instead of the processed food.
Right.
And then just lots of it. Like I guess I'm lucky. I don't like a lot of sweets.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I don't crave that stuff, but I crave a lot of the, maybe the healthy sweets. So like dried fruits, and I like, those oat bars and oatmeal cookies, and you can get them. It's still, sweet, but it's more, it's food. It's healthy food. It's not processed sweets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm more used to those kind of foods too. And I had a Coke the other day, a regular Coke, and it was terrible. Yeah. It was so sweet. It was almost like antifreeze or poison or something like that.
Yeah, like regular Coke is amazing on a bike ride where you're really suffering.
Yeah.
Or in a race. I think it's good as well. But irregular, it's not.
Just to add to that as well, Brett, I think one of the important things that Helle it benefits Helle a lot is she has studied human nutrition to a high level, and so she has her master degree in human nutrition, and she's just basically aware of what's right for you and what's wrong for you in terms of high performance. And she eats an incredible volume of food, actually, and I think Joel will be able to contribute to that as well, in the sense that Joel has seen the volume of food that Helle eats, but it's all the right stuff, right. So Helle in an evening meal, Helle could be going up for 3 courses, and but it's all literally, it's a combination of, Helle says, of all the right carbs, proteins, and everything else, and it's just, I think it's to her benefit that she studied it as well, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't know that you had a master's in that. That's great.
Yeah, I managed to. I finished that before I turned in to be professional, so which is very nice. It's very beneficial for me to have.
It's now, like a secret weapon.
Yeah, but it interests me a lot, and I still find myself digging into studies and stuff when there's new stuff coming up. So
I have a question for Joel. How somebody sent us a Twitter question, bkegel25, and he was asking, how do you measure easy? And I guess Helle, you can answer this too, but because you're the one doing it. Yeah. But Joel as well, and the question was, because like I'll go out either for an easy run or I'll mix in intervals, and I'm pretty good at going by a mix of feel and breathing rate, how hard I'm breathing, and then I use like heart rate to kind of double check that, and then pace is kind of like an afterthought, because pace can vary based on the terrain or whatever you're doing. So how do you, if you're going to go out for an easy recovery type workout or whatever, how do you prescribe that as far as targets and metrics?
Yeah, we actually don't really use a target for easy in terms of any of those metrics. It's just supposed to feel easy. It's as simple as that. When I think of Helle and her natural, like, basic running speed is reasonably quick for compared across the range. So I sometimes look at that afterwards and make sure it's not going too fast, but really, it should feel relaxed and not forced, and then it's really up to her to check that she's in that range. But it shows up. If you're doing your easy stuff too quick, which is generally the problem, if there's going to be one, we will see that the recovery won't be as good for the other sessions. Won't be as we expect. But sometimes with athletes that are running with GPS watches or that are looking at the pace, it can creep up a little bit. So sometimes say don't run your easy stuff with a pace monitor for that reason. It's maybe counterintuitive for some, but rather than staring at the pace and looking at it and not liking it if it's going too slow, as opposed to just going with the flow on the day, you could be sort of chasing after some sort of number rather than just sort of letting it happen. But maybe Helle can speak to how she actually does it.
Yeah, like I think if the training load is really, really high, the easy becomes slower or even easier, because I really feel that I really need to go easier. Like, we have tried in this last blog actually to increase my volume in running. Like, we've been extremely careful and gradual with doing that, and we've done that, and it's been good. But my second runs, sometimes I've actually been much better at going very easy. I feel, but I can feel if I go too easy that it almost feels like awful. I feel even more heavy going too easy. But if the load is not too big, like my easy is probably a little faster, but it still feels easier because the body is not under fatigue.
Right.
So it still won't create any, too much stress on the body because you're not under fatigue. Like now, for instance, in these days, going for an easier run, like that's the only exercise I've done in the whole day. then I'm fresh when I go out. That's why it still feels pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and for riding, we also do a lot of like easy rides. Like I would sometimes do like an hour easy ride after a hard run, and that hour is very easy, and there's no watts, no nothing. It's just
right.
Yeah, I just go and spin the legs really.
Yeah. Sometimes what I've noticed is if you do training style like easy, kind of the polarized kind of thing, which I know is becoming a throw around kind of phrase right now, but if you go easy enough, then that allows you to have the energy to go hard when you want to go hard, and then when you are nice and fresh to be able to go hard, the numbers you get from that give you the self-confidence to be able to go easy.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be able to, use the whole spectrum. Like, if you're not going, if you're not recovering in your recovery sessions or your easy sessions, you can't nail the sessions that you need to, and then you can't, push hard enough. And it's important that you can push hard enough, or else you won't get the benefits of those sessions. So it's important that you don't train only in that gray zone, and you're always like semi-fatigued.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
So I want to ask you some questions about earlier this year for the World 70.3 in Mont Tremblant.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being outraged and 10 being furious, how mad were you that there was no live coverage for you, for all the pros out there that day?
Yeah, 10 or whatever. 20. I just think it's a shame, really. Like, Mont Tremblant was a very, very good field, and at that point they said it was probably the strongest that's ever been up there. And it was a very, very nice venue and a very good setup up there. But it's such a shame that we don't get the coverage out there. And it was the same with there was not enough like marshals on the course and stuff. There's just many things. There was just for a world championship, it just really needs to be perfect, I think.
Yeah, I wonder if, because of the long distance, the half Ironman and the Ironman, especially in North America, it's kind of more, the pros seem to me to be kind of an afterthought and an add-on later in the industry, and it's more over here. It's more of a participant age grouper kind of thing that they just don't understand how important it is to get this coverage out to the world. And then people like you, for example, that come over from the Olympics and ITU and such, that are used to performing on a really high professional level, where it's almost the entire race is pros. The culture clash of the expectations is so different, and that maybe that has something to do with Ironman, the brand. WTC races not having as good coverage as, for example, like ITU coverage is fantastic.
Yeah, certainly. Like, for me, coming from ITU, as you said, and then to Ironman, and you have family that wanna watch the race, and there's live coverage, as they say, and then there's nothing, and it's super frustrating for them, but also for the sport to grow. If there's no coverage and there's no exposure, it won't be able to grow like we want it and like the sport deserves. And so also, like, non-endemic sponsors won't understand what's going on if they can't see it anywhere.
Yeah, I've wondered with the non-endemic sponsors. So for people that don't know what that means, that's like Rolex, right? Becoming a sponsor of races. So it's a brand that doesn't really make anything for the sport, but the image of the sport is great for the brand, so they advertise. And then that's how you get big brands in with big dollars. So you'll see Rolex advertising along with America's Cup sailing events, for example. And Rolex does not make sailboats. Have you considered approaching non-endemic sponsors yourself as an individual? Because in this sport, you're kind of your own brand.
Yeah, certainly. Ben is the man behind all that stuff. So maybe he's.
It's interesting that this topic comes up actually, because just a couple of hours ago I was on a Skype call with Zibby, CEO of Challenge Family, and we were discussing the whole non-endemic world of sponsorship, and that just kind of the lack of it in some ways, but also the potential of it in many ways. And I think it really goes to show if an organization puts lesser focus on coverage, it really shows that the want to grow the professional side of the sport is not there, because there's a tremendous volume of non-endemic sponsors actually that are craving an entry into the sport of triathlon. I know it from my own involvement in business, and I know it from speaking to numerous profiles from the corporate world who actually are looking for a way into the sport, to not only expose their company but actually activate the sport with their company. So for example, corporate initiatives with their employees and putting their name or their corporate entity towards health. It's a huge global thing right now for non-endemics to do that. And I think for an organization, in this case WTC, to not focus on exposure and actually covering the event, it really shows the direction that they are taking. Whereas if we just take Challenge as an example and what they did in Bahrain, it really shows that they understand how to turn triathlon as a sustainable sport, and that's one of the biggest things that I think you will actually see now from the developments in the Middle East. And Challenge Family as an organization, they right now, I feel, are one of the biggest potential arms to grow the global sport of triathlon, based on the attention they have from non-endemic sponsors after just that one race in Bahrain.
Yeah, just one race.
Yeah.
So, what's the plan for next year with? I'm pretty sure you've said that you're going to chase after this $1 million series of races, and I would too. But then, what about does Kona fall down on your personal rankings of goals for next year, and because of the money and then hopefully the prestige that comes with this the challenge races, and or do you? The saying is you can't serve two masters at once, because then you would also be needing to, if you wanted to do Kona and have at least a foot in the door with Kona, you'd have to do all these half Ironmans and Ironmans that they require for these KPR points for you to get in.
Yeah, no, Kona is not on my radar for next year. Okay. I might go to Kona to watch it and see what it's all about over there and see if I get a feel for it. But at the moment, I'm still super hungry for the middle distance, and now with the Triple Crown being announced in the Middle East, I feel that there are now need for middle distance specialists. It's not anymore like Ironman people that want to do some preparation races and then they do a few half distance races, or Olympic distance people that just sometimes want to throw in a longer distance race. I feel now that there's literally we will be seeing more and more half distance specialists, and they will be serious around the world. And also now again with Challenge, now they have Challenge America now, where taking over all the Rev 3 races.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, more half distance races. All of them will be half distance in US now. So again, more of them will come. So no, I will try and specify towards the half distance and still throw in a little bit of Olympic distance non-draft races.
Right.
And because I love to race and I also love that distance, and it mixes up well, I think, to make me stay fast, hopefully on half distance as well. So it will be primarily the Triple Crown in the Middle East I will focus on, and then we actually just talked about it today, how to build the season. But as it looks right now, we're also gonna try and qualify for the 70.3 Worlds.
All right, let's take a break from the interview just for a moment to give a shout out to one of our big sponsors of Zen and Yarda Triathlon, Amrita Bars, A-M-R-I-T-A, Amrita Bars. They are so good, and they come in a variety of flavors, and they work great for nutrition on the bike, on the run, pre-workout, pre-race, all kinds of good stuff. They are nut-free, super, super healthy. The ingredient list is short and good. And I think my favorite is the pineapple chia. And they have apple cinnamon, and it just goes on and on. They have like a recovery bar that's maca chocolate. Oh, man. It's so good. So if you want to enjoy some of these Amrita bars and put them in your nutrition hole, put them in your mouth, they are so good. You will not regret it. You can get 15% off any order with the discount code ZEN, all caps, Z-E-N, at amritahealthfoods.com. Go check them out. It's a beautiful website, beautiful food. They even have training gear, which is some of the best looking kits I have ever seen. I love racing in that stuff. So check them out, amritahealthfoods.com. And let's get back to the interview with Helle. Here we go. For training, do you ever go out and train with Helle?
Yeah, I give her a tough time every day, buddy. It's she's hanging onto my wheel every day. I
was gonna ask who's faster, and I think I got an idea.
Yeah, because that little white lie won't get very far. No, I have done, like, in the past, I've raced myself, but right now Helle is in too high of a shape for me to be of any use, and I just become this sweaty mess behind her. I just get, I'm no use if I'm actually riding with her on the hard stuff or running with her. Not when I'm working as much as I am. So I'm always there. Like, I will always facilitate the hard sessions. So whether that means me on a mountain bike when she's running, or I'm on a scooter when she's riding the bike, I will always, the hard session, someone will have eyes on. Whether that's me or whether that's Joel when he's on camp with Helle. That's basically how we work. I have trained with Helle in the past, and I can get to the point where I'm kind of some use, but that's not that often.
Yeah.
No. Well, it happened a little bit this summer when we were in Boulder. He got okay fit, but in hard sessions he got dropped.
Well, my wife does some triathlon training and racing, but nowhere near what I do. But I would be so excited if she got faster than me. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys that I speak to, they're like, "Oh my god, dude! Like you get checked by your fiance." It's like, hang on a minute, guys. Like, this isn't.
That's awesome. Yeah.
This is my ego or anything. If Helle's kind of at the top of the sport where she is, I'm happy to get a beating every single day. So
yeah, you're lucky to be with somebody. That's the way I view it. You're so lucky, any of us, to be with somebody that's like that incredible, like to be that fit, because then it motivates you to be that, to try to catch up. I mean, it's good for everybody.
Yeah. And for me, I enjoy the high performance side of the sport. So I'm fascinated with seeing how Helle looks when she runs super fast. And I relay this information to Joel as well. Mm-hmm. So we have to also remember that Helle and Joel they're not always together, and Joel doesn't often have eyes on, so he needs some kind of information relayed back. So it helps in that sense, and I enjoy it. I enjoy to just observe and follow the progress.
So Joel, do you sometimes tell Ben, like, hey, make sure she takes this one fuel with her or this one water with her because she forgot last time, or do you work with Ben some on being there for you?
Oh yeah. Not stuff like that.
Yeah.
The feedback that I get from Ben is more sort of holistic. How she's doing, how her recovery is, how she's feeling before races, if she's in the right place, and that stuff has been super valuable. I think we've kind of really formed a really nice team that way, and it's been invaluable to hear what he has to say, and because he can of course see more than I can, and in a different way too, and I think it's worked really well. Even on the ground in Bahrain there. So I wasn't there, but but I would send a message directly to Ben, ask how things are going. And that way I could get a different kind of feedback of whether we need to adjust anything or not. Because sometimes athletes, they don't want to change things necessarily because they're used to their own rhythm or routine, but having somebody else like that can feed in, might prompt something, just a little tweak here or there to a usual routine that might be beneficial. Or, other times in the year, I could think of a number of examples that come to mind where Ben's feedback was useful, and it's a different kind of feedback, as I say. So, yeah, it's been really, really beneficial.
Yeah, I've had spouses email me and tell me that their husband or wife is bouncing off the walls. Can I please send them out on a 3-hour run or something? It's funny how you can use the spouses kind of sometimes help and get in there and in the mix, and can be helpful sometimes. So that's cool.
I mean, particularly as Ben understands the sport so well, and it's approaching it, perhaps more than just that. I mean, he's if not a secondary coach, I don't know what the category is, but there's something there that really does add a lot to Helle's career.
Yeah. So, Helle, can you go through with me how, and then Joel also, can you kind of pitch in, and Ben too, like how your setup is for racing? For example, like, can you start off with the swim? What are you wearing on your wrist as far as like any kind of pacing or heart rate or anything like that? I guess not so much on the swim, but what do you start off the swim with gear wise, and then like maybe eating before the race, and then let's go into now you move from the swim to the bike, and how do you have your bike set up, and then onto the run?
I don't wear any watch or anything. So for the swim, it's just the wetsuit. If it's a wetsuit swim, and then a cap and a pair of goggles. And for obviously I have a lot of baby oil and stuff like that underneath, so that I can get the wetsuit up very quickly.
Okay.
And then I always use earplugs. I get very dizzy if I get water into my ears.
Okay.
So I'm practically deaf. I can hear.
Do you wait for everybody to start swimming, and then you're like, oh, I guess we should go now?
The gun is luckily so loud.
Yeah.
So I hear it. Like, I also train with earplugs, so like Joel knows that he needs to speak very loud or come down to my level, or else I would not know what he's talking about there. Yeah.
So Joel on the side of the pool, you have to yell like double loud at her what to do.
Definitely. Like,
over the that's good. I was gonna say, Helle, over the years, I can tell when you're hearing me, so it's not in vain. I can tell if you've heard what I said. So, yes, get close.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, so in the water, so how do you pace yourself just off of who you think is in the lead? Are you able to tell actually who's in the lead, and then you're just kind of pace yourself off of them, or what?
Yeah, like I was a national swimmer, swimming for Denmark for 7 years, representing Denmark.
Right.
In the 90s, so I'm not as good as a swimmer as I was, but I have a good get out speed, so I tend to be out in the front in these non-ref races. Mm-hmm. So I basically just really go as hard as I can from the start, and then settle into a good hard rhythm. It's important to respect that the swim is tough, it's hard, and it's hard work for those 15 or 1900 meters if you want to get out of the water in the front of the race. And as many of the races has turned out this year, the win has been from the people that's come out of the water in the first group, or the first 5 people.
Right. Yeah.
So the swim is becoming more and more important. So I really just approach this as I know that I can swim very, very hard for 20 to 25 minutes,
right,
without it affecting me a few hours later in the day.
Okay. So then, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Okay, so then you come out of the swim, and you kind of check around. You're in the front pack. Everything's good, and then you hop on the bike, and then take off. So how is your bike set up for racing?
I use a bottle in between my aero bars that has a straw in it, so that I can stay aero when I'm drinking, and then you get reminded all the time that you need to drink as well.
Right. I do the same because I won't drink enough if I don't.
Yeah, definitely. And I did actually the same in my first halves. I didn't have that bottle, and I didn't drink anything really because I had to, think about it and get out of the aero position to drink. So that's a very good deal for me. And then I have a gel flask on the top tube that's in a little bag, which I also keep taking like very, very regularly. So I keep getting some sugar down in my body. And that's basically it. And then for the bike, it's a little bit the same. Like get going and if you can get out of sight or get on the train if there's people up the road.
So I saw on your bike I've been on the trainer lately working out, watching the Bahrain video, which is still online, which is so cool. It's so right that it's still online. So I get on my bike. I was watching it, I think last night. I was on the trainer, and I saw that you had 2 round bottles, one on the down tube and on the seat tube. Yeah. So are those full of fuel too, or are those just grabbed from aid stations, or what's in those?
No, I bring them as well. Like I don't use the aid station, so I don't have to slow down and try to catch a bottle. You never know if it's easy to get or not, and what you get. So no, on my tube I have one with also with energy drink and quite a few electrolytes and that, and then I have one with water.
Okay.
There, but I bring it all, and certainly also if it's a flat course, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit heavier, like your whole setup is a little bit heavier, it's just it's more important that you have the right fuel with you.
Okay. And then what about bike computer? What do you have set up on that? Nothing?
Bike computer? Oh yeah, I have an SRM. So I have the bike computer going, and I do see the watch sometimes, but I really try to read the race. So if there is an attack, I usually try to go with it. Like if I'm confident that I've done the work that I needed to do, I try to race and then see what happens. Like I'm not the one that's sitting and thinking, oh no, I'm going way too fast now, or way too hard. I'm trying to, if I can go, I will go.
Yeah.
And so I'm really a racer, and that's also why Ironman racing, you need to stick to your plan a little bit more, whereas I see half distance you can still race it.
Yeah, you can take more risks, right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
And then, do you wear a heart rate strap on that or not?
No.
So you don't have any data of like how hard your heart rate's going during these races. That would be really wild to see, I think. But,
I'll probably get a shock, like thinking I'm gonna get a heart attack.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you don't want to know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you got an idea from training too how high it goes. Yeah. So then, what about on the run? What do you do on the run?
So for Bahrain, I actually decided to go no socks and then 10K racing flats.
Okay.
Because I feel faster and lighter in those shoes. So I was just like, oh well, I'm going on off season, so losing a couple of nails and getting some blood blisters, that will be all right. So, and I have one nail that's not looking good. So anyway, it doesn't matter. So in Bahrain, I did that, and then I ate three gels on the run.
Okay.
And then getting water and Coke in the aid stations, and that's about it, really.
Wow.
And then just running as fast as I can.
So Joel, do you give any input on how she sets things up, or you just kind of, she's successful at what she's doing and you kind of observe and then just give any ideas or what?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a race execution, we certainly review that and prepare how we think it would be beneficial for the particular course or for the field. So certainly from that point of view, I mean, a lot of the stuff that she's talking about, Helle talking about in terms of equipment and such, or just the real basic processes. I mean, that's pretty dialed. We have talked about sort of modifying nutrition on the run a little bit. These are sort of tweaks, really, more so than anything that's potentially big changes. But I mean, you always have to be thinking, how do you improve? How do you continue to evolve? Where are those improvements going to come from? Whether it's the little things or sometimes bigger things, but. So you never really think that you've arrived and this is it. You can just continue to do things the same way forever, but at the same time, a lot of these processes are really dialed in, so they're quite automatic. And even the way that Helle is talking about how she races there, that's a good place to be, and kind of instinctual and able to make decisions on your feet, and and that's what allows you to. To when the opportunity's in front of you to seize that in races, and it's good to see that progression. It's probably taken some years to get to that point, have the confidence and the assertiveness and readiness to do it. But that's been a really interesting evolution to watch that happen, and it's partly through Helle's own thoughtfulness from her races and how she approaches it. It's due to reviews with Ben as well, from watching other races, from really being a student of the sport, and and I remember talking about it after Bahrain. I'm thinking how much that has evolved and changed in terms of that ability to really become a racer, and of course you've got to have the preparation to back it up, but to be able to put that out on the course and be satisfied that you've done everything you can do.
Yeah. I got a question, and this has been covered plenty, and it really, I want to ask it in a way that's not the same as everybody else, but with the whole the Twitter drama that happened after the race with Carol and Stefan, which I'm sure people already know plenty about, but Helle, you'd probably just like to forget about it.
When I read it, I read it after the whole evening. Actually, in the mornings when I got home from the award party and all that stuff. So then I read it, and I must admit that I got extremely sad and didn't sleep that night. That's just that person I am. Like I take it too hard, and I shouldn't do that. I just get very disappointed that obviously that he doesn't confront me directly, and also that it was certainly fair racing. So I was very sad to see her tweet something like that, and I found it very immature, to be honest.
Yeah, but my question is to Ben and Joel. Actually, what did you tell, or did you say anything to Helle about how to handle that? Did you give any advice, or did she come to you about that, or as a team, do you sit down and think about these things?
Yeah, it's from one side of things, like Helle is only human, and she's gonna have a natural emotional reaction to something like that when she's put her heart and soul into winning that race and winning legitimately. Being the human that she is, it's gonna affect her, and it did affect her, and of course. But then we of course have to discuss it. How do you react like that? You do have a public following. You do have people that are watching your every move in some sense. So how do you react? And we spoke about it. I think Helle and I would, Joel was probably out of the loop in that sense, that Joel would stay away from that until, unless it was absolutely necessary. But we spoke about it, and we have a communications consultant as well that we work with externally, actually. But in cases like this, not just Carolina's case, but in other cases, we talk about it. We say, okay, what's the best thing to do, and it's settled privately now, and that's what I think is, we're all professionals at the end of the day, and it's it's in the heat of the moment. I think a lot of people just they communicate on emotions rather than actually sitting down and thinking about it. And I think Caroline did the same, and I think now, based on the private communication that's been had, I think she realized it was a bit dumb. But we definitely talk about it, and it's just part of the evolution of a professional athlete, and you have a kind of example to set, and we try and set that with Helle, and I guess Caroline will try and set it in the future. So
have you on the upside of this, there might be an opportunity here. Have you ever thought about creating fake Twitter drama, because people were as interested in this as it seemed like in the entire race, like Helle putting out a tweet saying OMG at Jody Swallow, I can't believe what you said yesterday, hashtag Madagascar, just like something totally random, and then people are like, what? And then
No, I haven't thought about doing that. There's probably people doing it out there. Sometimes I see some tweets that I think, oh, what this is pretty, yeah, it is black. This is black talk or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I haven't considered that.
Not yet. Maybe we'll set a strategy after this talk or something.
Cool. So, Joel, I got a question for you to kind of wrap up. Helle seems really well-rounded to me as an athlete. What is left really to work on in over the next year? Like, what will you focus on? Helle, watching you on the bike, it seems to me that you have a little bit of ITU positioning on your bike. As far as aerodynamics.
Oh yeah,
I
don't. Yeah, I don't sit so aggressively.
Yeah, but at the same time, you always have to look at how well somebody's performing, and maybe they're performing better because they can breathe better because they're not, crushed their chest into the stem. So things like that. So what are you looking at for next year?
Yeah, I kind of see the transition coming across from ITU to the long distance racing. It's just really getting rolling now. We've got lots of areas to improve, and it's a good place to be as an athlete, to look at your program and your profile and think, well, there's all so much more we can do. Maybe even the run in that we saw in Bahrain might have even been ahead of our schedule, really, in terms of what we knew was possible, but we knew we needed to do some work to get there. But that process is just continuing. It's just like many athletes that come from sort of a faster background or the ITU background. It's making sure that the endurance and the conditioning is there to race for the 4 hours, and we've got lots of areas we can improve within that. In the swim is fairly stable, but we can never be complacent with that. I mean, the riding, there's going to be more work to do as well. How they can get faster and stronger still, and as we look at the courses of the main events, and that will also play some role in what that training looks like and how to progress it, and the running, of course, as well. All of those elements. So it's a good place to be in, because it's not a mystery what we need to do next. We just continue progressing at the right rate, and add another layer of condition on top of where she's been, and we're going to continue to do that. And it's an exciting place to be in, I think, finishing the season in this way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you always need to be training for the course, right? That's the race.
Indeed.
Yeah. We definitely did that for Bahrain. In Lanzarote, where I stayed for almost 3 months before the race, there's a lot of wind on that island, and it's very, very similar to Bahrain. And we were told that we were probably going to get tailwind on the course. We more got, I would say, a crosswind and not too hard wind. But in Lanzarote, we did train specifically with tailwind. So I had to put out certain efforts in tailwind, because it's not as easy as doing it in the headwind.
Yeah, it's harder to. Jordan Rapp once said it's easier to find watts going into the wind or uphill.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And to push the same watts in the tailwind is tougher. So we definitely trained for the course, I would say. So.
Well, cool. I'm really glad that you got on this interview with me, and I've been excited about talking to you. Once we started talking about setting this up, it's been all I've been thinking about. This is really neat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was nice.
Cool.
Great. Thanks, Brett.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Wow, that was really cool. Thank you so much, Helle and Joel and Ben. And wow, that was so amazing to be sitting there talking to all these different people from all over the world that worked as a team to get that result. There's no doubt about it. That is teamwork working there. And what you can do when a lot of people believe in you and you start dialing it in and getting it right. It's amazing. All right. like I promised, I said I would talk a little bit about knee pain on the bike. Ooh, man. I was starting to get back into training after my Iron Baby, my self-supported Ironman that I did a few weeks back, maybe a month or two ago now, a couple months ago. And I noticed that something's not right. My knee started hurting, both knees. And I spent a lot of my cycling life trying to get rid of knee pain, and I had kind of an idea what it was. So I started looking into it. It's the front of my knees. And also I noticed that my position on my saddle was not right. And I checked my saddle height. It hadn't changed. You put a piece of tape on your saddle, your seat post, right above the collar, and then you can tell if it's raised or lowered. Or if you remove your seat post, then you can get it right back to where you had it. Painter's tape works great for that little piece, or electrical tape. And I was like, well, what's going on? So I clipped off my shoes, turned them over, and my cleats had slidden, is that a word? Had slid forward all the way. And what this does is it gets the cleat more under your toes instead of under your heel, and now your point of contact that you're pushing down against is now further out away from your body, and the force that you have to push against ends up being more on the front of your leg because now it's further out from your body. And a lot of us, it'll start creating tendinitis in the front of your knee. And the cure, and then also I started noticing that on longer rides and harder rides, my toes were going numb a little bit. And I was like, well, maybe it's the colder weather. And I think it was a combination of the colder weather and then the pressure underneath my toes more, the ball of my foot instead of the midsole of my foot. And then I said, okay, well, I gotta undo these and move them back. And I actually have a spare set of cleats. And as I started taking my cleats off, I stripped off one wrench, one hex wrench, ruined it. And then I finally got the last bolt out. And the problem with triathlon is that we ride bikes a lot and we end up sweating and in some cases peeing in long course triathlon into our shoes, which is nasty. And then your cleats and bolts and stuff like that, the assembly gear, the threads of the screws can start rusting into the male end, and then the female end of what you screw it into can start kind of rusting, and then it becomes very difficult to undo these. So when I put I just threw out the old cleats and then and the bolts and stuff like that. And then this is a tip here, as I put the new cleats in, I put heavy grease. You can get, I think it's lithium grease, or get a heavier grease, not like chain lube, but like heavier grease, and put it on the threads of the bolts as you're putting them into your shoe and you're screwing on your cleats, and it will protect your cleats from rust and also make them easier to undo when you do need to adjust your cleat angle or where it is on your shoe and so on and so forth. So my favorite place to wear my cleats is way back on my foot, as far back as the cleats will go. And this this cured a whole lot of my foot pain and numb foot and all kinds of issues I was having. And the thing to remember is, if you move your cleats back to give yourself some relief in your toes, you need to remember, let's say it's a couple centimeters on your shoe. Well, now your crotch and your legs are now 2 centimeters shorter to the pedals. So that effectively raises the seat post and the seat 2 centimeters higher into your crotch. So you're going to have to either lower your seat, push your seat forward, back, whatever it takes, if you adjust your cleats. A lot of people forget that if you move something one place, that affects the chain further up the line. And what I do is I do these kinds of adjustments on the trainer. And that way I have my tool set right there next to the bike, and I can work on stuff and then try it. And then I can, and I do it after I've warmed up. And then I can look to see that my power and my heart rate and my comfort level is still good or even better than it was before. And that's your goal, is to have it better. And you've locked down your environment so that it's stationary, and you've controlled as many of the variables as you can. So you can, for example, raise your seat a little bit. Okay, and it's on the trainer, right? So you can get back on it and go, okay, is this better or worse than what it was before? And if you did this out on the open road, who knows if it's better or worse, because now you're going downhill or uphill or whatever, So a trainer is a great place to do this kind of stuff. All right, so I wanted to give that little bit of tip out there. And should we do the training log now, or should we mention some Hornet juice? Let's mention Hornet juice. One great way to support Zen and Yard of Triathlon is go get yourself some Hornet juice. It's on the right side of the website, zentriathlon.com. And yeah, this is crazy stuff. It's an amino acid mix that works really, really, really well. And if you get some, then a little tiny bit of it goes to help support the show. And you get a handwritten email from me, hand-typed, I guess. Hand-typed email from me asking how's it going, where you're living. And your Hornet juice shows up from New Zealand. And the stuff is really amazing. It really does work. Lots of people have written back to me. They can't believe how well it works, and they come back for return orders. This is no joke, man. The stuff is great. You got to be ready for it. It works really well. And what it does is it helps you metabolize body fat better than just straight carbs. It's got the amino acid mix in there. It just turns on your body fat burning, and your body fat is like this limitless energy supply. So it kind of feels like you're running on diesel power. It's pretty neat. So go check that out again, zentriathlon.com, right side of the page. And let's go ahead and get into the training log. This is where I take you with me on all my training. I think this one's about an hour long. And we cover swimming, biking, running, all kinds of neat stuff, running with the dog. And yeah, I go into detail about how I got my screens set up on my Garmin 510, how and why. And something else I should mention is, notice when I list them off, I don't have miles per hour on there as my screen. And there's a really good reason why. Because miles per hour is more of a result instead of a target. The closest you should probably get is power if you're going to train with watts. And talking with more and more people, that's kind of subjective whether you want that or not. But miles per hour has you out chasing numbers, for example. So there's a lot of that in there of me talking about the how and why of what to use on the bike and what really, really works. So let's go ahead and get started with the training log. Here we go.
You are entering the ZenTri training log zone. Huneli.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett. I'm a triathlete. Hi Brett.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
All right, training log, start date, Thursday the 18th of December. I'm on my way to W to the ERK. I got people that won't let me into their lane. Hey, dude, come on. Anyway, great run this morning. The temperatures are perfect. Perfect running temperatures for me are where you need gloves on your hands. And then that's it. Wow, that person's got aggravation issues. Okay, then running with the dog is so funny because they're so primal. There's like, we're running along and all of a sudden he starts freaking out and pulling at the end of the leash, and he's 80-something pounds, so he's a big, heavy dog. He starts pulling, dragging me, and there's no street lights, and I'm on a country road, and it's like, holy crap, what's going on? And the shape that he's chasing after, I look at it for a while, and then I realize it's black with a big white stripe running down its back. And of course I've got him under control. So I'm thinking, man, thank God this dog is on a leash. because my morning would be way different after this if he wasn't on a leash. Because we'd be scrubbing down a dog with tomato juice or whatever and keeping him outside and the smell and everything. And yeah, that skunk, lit up with his tail straight up in the air, standing all crazy. It was pretty wild. And then, so there's a real threat right there, something that's going to really actually happen. And then later on we're running and a big trash truck drives by, and my dog Kona is scared of big loud trucks, because they're big monsters, and he all tries to scramble into the grass to get away from it, even though it's not a threat at all. And then we're running through an elementary school parking lot, and that same trash truck, we come across it again. It's lifting up a dumpster over the front and dumping it in the back, so it's loud and crashing and motors running, and it's more super giant monster trash truck. My dog is freaking out. And so one threat is real. One has a real danger to it, sort of, getting sprayed by a skunk. And then the other one is not real, and he's actually scared of that when he wasn't scared of the first. It's pretty funny. So I definitely appreciated the Bluetooth upload of the data. While I'm making my green smoothie this morning. Green smoothie has kale, carrots, ground up chia seed powder that you can buy, and then what else do I put in it? A little bit of Odwalla superfood green juice. That's mostly apple juice, and then carrots, I think, and hemp powder. It's really good. That's my green smoothie of choice. And also I wanted to mention, so we're in the bathroom getting ready. Emily and I are, and Emily gets a phone call, and it's her dad, and he was mentioning to her that his alternator went out on his car, so whatever driving he was doing was screwed up for a little bit. And so then Emily hangs up, and Kai walks in and goes, "Who was that?" And she said, "That was Granddaddy," and Papa, that's what we call him. And he said, "Well, what's wrong?" And she said, "Well, his alternator is broken on his car." And Kai goes, "What's an alternator?" And then Emily says, "Go brush your teeth." And I said, "Wait, Kai, an alternator is like a small football-sized gadget that is the engine in the car creates power, right? Well, it turns that power into electricity, which is a different kind of power, and it alternates current from the engine into power that your car can use to power electronics, because electronics use electricity, and that's what it does. And sometimes they break because they're kind of complicated in there. And I made a size with my hands. I go, it's about this big, and most cars have them, if not all. And when it breaks, the electronics fade in your car, and for one thing, your battery won't charge, and then your car won't start later because your battery's not charging because the alternator's not working. And he was like, "Oh, okay, thanks," and walked off. And so the thing there is, a lot of times we tell kids to not worry about it, whatever complicated thing we're explaining. But actually, if you take the time to tell your kid in a real simple way, they go, "Oh, cool." And then, yeah, they don't totally understand the first time, but now you've told them once, and then they're going to get told again. And then the second time they'll get it even better, and the third time, you'll have a 10 or 11-year-old that totally understands what an alternator is in a car. It might suggest it when you're broken down on the side of the road. They go, "Maybe it's the alternator." and they might be right. They're just suggesting things. They're trying to help. So anyway, pro-life tip. I got to go into W to the ERK. Out. Bang. All right, I am back. I just wanted to mention that several times just in the past few days, I've been in meetings or at presentations, just all kinds of things, where taking out your phone to see what the message is, what the vibrate about is not smart. It's either rude or perceived as rude, or you need to be paying attention to what you're watching, or what you're participating in, or you're at the dinner table or something like that. And I gotta say, having a smartwatch is freaking cool, where it tells you what the message is right on your wrist. And what I like about the Garmin one is that it vibrates and it doesn't beep, because the beeping would be intrusive as well. And this coming Apple watch, that's probably going to cause a whole lot of, probably, who knows, but the coming days of smartwatches and data pop up on your wrist is going to be, it's going to be a bit of a game changer as far as productivity and subtleness, being subtle with information, and it's more tailored to not being intrusive and rude and interruptive. Because say the Garmin, I don't know about Polar if they do it, but the Garmin and the Suunto, they're not interactive really smartwatch alerts. They're pretty good. They show you the header, and then on the Garmin one you can click on it and then get more information about it, like the first few lines of the message, which is nice. But you can't reply back, and I think there was something with the Apple one, which is yet to come out, where you might be able to reply back with a message, which would be kind of good, I guess. It'd probably be pretty good, because sometimes I'd be like, yeah, man, if I could just reply back, like, okay, or yes, or no, which they probably will put in as stock replies, like quick replies back, or maybe some Siri messages back. But at first it was a little bit awkward, because the flick of the wrist and looking at the wrist to see what the message is, you have to focus your vision down to that smaller font. And yeah, at first it's not efficient. It's kind of awkward, but then the more you do it, you get better at it. And then now my watch will vibrate, and then I can or beep sometimes, and then I'll look at it, and I'll have it the right distance from my eyes, and my eyes kind of getting ready to focus on the message, and then read it, and then put it back away. And it's cool. It's really, really cool. I was just at a big employee presentation, and I got an alert that Helle favorited my tweet, and my wrist vibrated, and I was like, oh, what is that? And I looked at it, and that's not something I need to reply to or do anything about, But I'm trying to remember what it was. Yesterday, I got an email from a coaching client, and they said they had an important question, or was it Emily? I'm trying to remember who it was. Something that was important, and I was like, oh man, I gotta answer this, and I excused myself, and then went and replied back to it as soon as I could, and I knew about it because it was on my watch, and it wasn't rude me finding out, because I just looked at my watch real quick and saw that I had this thing, and then I made a mental note the next time I'm away from people, I got something I need to take care of, so I need to take care of it. And that's proper use of technology, and it not being overwhelming or whatever. So I like it a lot. Anyway, that's it. Be back out. All right, ZenTri Mobile Studios, Nissan Xterra, heading to W to the ERK, get some work done. Had an interesting morning. Well, yesterday, I almost said last night. Yesterday is when I interviewed, hold on, I'm trying to mess with my windshield wipers, which leads into another story here in a second. Yesterday is when I interviewed Helle Frederiksen, and you can tell at the beginning of the interview I'm trying to be like, is it Helle? And I was trying to listen to the way other people were saying it so I could say it right. It's not a name over here in America, so I'm having to learn how to say it. But anyway, that interview was so great, and it was going on for an hour, that afterwards I needed to grab lunch, and I went into Freebirds where I can get something healthy, and veggies and all kinds of stuff on a burrito, a healthy burrito, and the line was out the door, and I'm like, crap, and I needed to get back to work. so I literally had to swing by freaking Burger King and get a burger. And now that I think about it, I should have gotten something healthier at Burger King. I got burger and fries. And when you're under stress, you make bad decisions, as everybody knows. So the freaking gained 1.5 pounds yesterday after eating that crap. Of course, there's always other stuff, that's with that. But man, that sucked. But anyway, I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh well, it starts off. The drama today starts off in the middle of the night. It starts pouring rain and lightning, and the big black lab starts, freaking out. So he comes into our bedroom, lays down on the upper part of the bed between me and Emily, and then Emily starts yelling at him, right? What are you doing, Kona? Get out of here! Move! Right? But then he does the peace protester move, where he just goes completely limp, and then you got to move an 85-pound sack of potatoes, right? And then we got a little traffic situation. Man, my town went from having no traffic problems to lots in like 2 years. And I hope we didn't have an accident. No, it looks like just like a slowdown or something. But, maybe, I don't know. It's worse than I thought. So then I'm like, well, let's see if we can get him to go outside. And so I go, come on, let's go. No, wait. What happened first was, then he starts flopping around to try to get better positioning, and then he decides to lay his upper body across my torso, and then he lays his giant fat head and neck across the side of my abdomen, and then he gets warm. Right now it's like too hot, and he starts breathing hard. He starts panting, and that vibration sets up a frequency in the bed. This is all at 3 a.m. in the morning, and the bed starts rocking up and down, like front and back, like that. I'm like, after a while, I'm like, God damn it! I gotta go outside, right? Try to get him to do something to get off the bed, but it's pouring rain. So he goes outside, and then we have to towel him off when he gets in because his fur absorbs water for some reason. So now he's soaking wet, and there's a little bit of lightning and stuff I'm noticing outside. And I'm like, man, if this keeps up, there's not going to be any swimming in the morning. They'll close the pool due to lightning. And if I had my own backyard pool, I was thinking about it. It wasn't lightning enough where I would worry about it. I'd actually swim, which I've done plenty of times. I go surfing and stuff like that when it's lightning. Like if there is a lightning strike, it's devastating, but the chances of it happening are so freaking small. It's unbelievable. But anyway, so now I'm like, well, what do I do instead? And I just rode my bike on the trainer last night. Oh man, I was doing trainer intervals, and I broke 600 watts on an interval, just for a brief second. But 605 watts was my max watts on that, and that's a new high. Yeah, so polarized for the win. And then I liked Joel and Helle and Ben saying, easy is like super, super easy. It's just easy. It just feels too easy, and that's easy. But anyway, so this morning I said, I biked last night. I can't go swim, so a smart thing to do would be to run, and we got a treadmill. And I'm like, well, let's set up the treadmill. And this is where the drama really starts happening. The treadmill, the wiring in our house, no matter how much we've looked at it and tried to figure it out, for whatever reason, the wiring in our house will short out. It'll blow a fuse. I have to go reset it, and it turns off half the house. If we, there's a wreck right here on my left. If I run on the treadmill and it's plugged into the wall right next to the treadmill, and once I get going over a certain speed, like, I don't know, like a 9.5 minute mile, it'll blow out. And it does it like routinely. Then you got to go out in the rain and throw switches, and you could probably get shocked or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so we have an extension cord that goes and plugs, that I use to plug it into a different part of the house. I just run it across the living room in a different part of the house. And then when I'm done, I coil up the extension cord and put it back next to the treadmill. So I'm like, okay. and let's get my stuff together and make a little bottle of whatever and get on my running clothes. And then I walk into where, and dude, it is hard getting ready in the morning. You don't want to do anything. And so things need to be set up ahead of time. I've learned that, so that you have fewer bumps to overcome in the morning. And I walk into the training cave, and there's a treadmill plugged directly into the wall and no extension cord in sight, even though we've had even though that's where I've been keeping it for, I don't know, a year or something. I'm like, God dang it. So I go in the garage and I find a different extension cord, and I pull it out of the garage and I untangle it, and it takes freaking forever. And then I go to actually plug it in like Clark Griswold, and it's got the wrong number of prong. It doesn't have a grounding wire slot on it, and the treadmill needs it, and the treadmill won't plug in to the extension cord. And I'm like, God dang it. Now I'm really pissed off, because now this is cutting into my workout time and I have no solution, right? So I'm losing time and I have no solution. I was looking and I couldn't find the right extension cord. It's dark green. And so then after a while I start thinking about it. I'm like, where could that thing be? And I'm like, Emily has used it to plug in these stupid freaking deer out in our front yard that light up for Christmas. These white wire mesh deer with white lights on them. And one of them has like a motorized head that doesn't work anymore, that kind of rotates around. And I don't like Christmas decorations in the yard. I think they look tacky, but you can do what you want. But I'm like, I hate those things. And those things are ruining my workout, because I bet that she's used those she's used that extension cord to plug those in without telling me, and that she used the extension cord. So I go out, I look out the front door, and yep, out in the pouring rain with lightning is an extension cord that I need to get in on the treadmill. So I go out there in my underwear, and I put on running shoes, and I'm in my underwear, and it's like 45 degrees outside or something, and it's pouring rain, and I'm cursing and I'm yelling, and I'm like, God dang it. And Emily's like, I didn't know you did. And I'm like, don't move things. You know how hard it is to get up in the morning and start working out, and then I got to find everything every time, because it seems like every time I got to do this, I got to find something that Emily's put away. And this is the life. People know this, right? You'll start laughing. This is the life of people that don't put stuff away all the time, and look for it the last place that they used it, versus people that's married to somebody that constantly puts stuff away, and then because the other person put it away, their version of where it goes is different than your version of where it would probably be. So then you start looking 2, 3, 4 places for stuff. And so she starts yelling at me, and I'm yelling back, and like, it's all, I'm just like, this is so stupid. Why didn't you tell me, or whatever? And then we're arguing over like she's like, why didn't you use the orange cord? You got the orange cord out. I'm like, it doesn't work. And I'm like pushing the ends together to show her, like, in her face, like, look, it doesn't work. And they won't fit in. And fine. And anyway, so I finally get on the treadmill and start getting in a run. But then you're pissed, you know? And it all goes back to Helle and Ben and Joel talking about how you can get in some really great workouts if you have a controlled environment that's reliable and consistent. And take a tip from me. Try to keep stuff consistent. Communicate with your partner, your significant other, your SO, that that if they change things, let you know, or don't try not to change things in your workout environment, or agree on a change. And then you'll avoid being out in the rain in lightning in your underpants, pulling extension cords and electroluminescent reindeer around the yard at, what time was it? 5:30 a.m. So that's it. I'm at W to the ERK. Got to go. Out, bang. Hello, freaks and geeks. I'm back. Oh, what is that? Oh, my watch just buzzed at me. Okay, Man, I did something pretty freaking cool today, and I do it on occasion, so I thought I'd explain what it is, because it can help your training a ton. I went for a mixed run today. So one of the reasons, a few years ago, I got a whole lot better at triathlon, and it has to do, like, we're doing all these interviews with Joel Filliol and Jordan and Helle and all that. And the thing that keeps coming up is consistency, adding on another layer and adding on another layer of training. And a few years ago, I convinced Emily to let us turn our spare guest room into a training room. So we threw in a treadmill and a trainer. And my life has been completely different since then, because I can train anytime, except for the swimming part. But swimming, you don't need to train that much. But I can go for a bike ride or a run anytime, no matter what the weather. And improvements just started coming on like crazy. And a treadmill's $400 investment or something. And it just depends. And then a trainer is a couple $100 at most. My favorite is a Cyclops Fluid, because it just freaking works, and it works well. I like the Kurt Kinetic that you can rock back and forth on, but whatever. So anyway, there's a problem, though, where I live, where it's not very hilly. You've heard me mention that I think the best hill I got around where I live is like a 2% or 3% grade, and I could probably climb it in a minute and a half or something like that. And that's if I go way out of my way to find it. And it's not as flat as Houston, where I spent a lot of my childhood living, which was just mind-numbingly flat, which was just brutal. And especially having moved there, coming from Alabama, northern Alabama, where it was crazy freaking hilly, and I loved it. I loved sitting on a skateboard when you're 7 years old and just bombing down a hill. A skateboard with steel wheel in the 70s. Oh my God. Anyway, I click. So to get faster on the run, you ought to do intervals up hills, because that really drives resistance into your legs and improves you quickly, right? Well, I don't have hills, right? But I got a treadmill, and the treadmill will do like a 10% grade, and this is just a consumer grade treadmill. I think once this one explodes, which I've nearly exploded it before, we're going to get one that goes a little bit more, not professional grade, but medium grade, where it'll go... This one tops out at 10 miles per hour, which is a 6-minute mile, which is fine. But once you get really into it, you can start, and I'm on the verge of that, where it starts to get to be like, maybe I could do a little bit better. So when this one blows up, we'll get improvement. Oh, a Lamborghini. Is that a Lamborghini? We live really close to the Texas World Speedway. It's just a couple miles down the road. So every once in a while we see an exotic sports car at the gas station filling up. Let's see what it is. It's orange. Is that or a McLaren? I can't tell what it is. It's shaped like a Lamborghini, but it might be a McLaren. Anyway, then the question is, I got a dog. Right, dog needs to go for a run. I like running outside, but if I run outside, there's no hills, right? But I want to do a hill workout to improve myself. It's time for a good interval run. And so what do you do? And you have to think outside of the box a little bit and decide to do something innovative. Which at first, when you think about it, it's not innovative at all, but also at the same time, it's actually kind of hard to convince yourself to do it. So you are kind of like, oh, why didn't I think of this earlier? So you run so what I did today is ran the first half of my run, my warm-up of the run, outside, and then turned around and ran the second half of the run inside on the treadmill and knocked out 4 intervals, running at like 10% grade and trying to go as fast as I could up hills, which I don't have outside. And I thought I'd remind people that, you know, you have options out there, and a lot of people would be like, well, I either have to run outside or I have to run inside. And if you do that, you're self-imposing an artificial limit on yourself, and you just gotta do it, you know. And I did it, and it was great. It took a few minutes to go from outside to inside, but the ending result workout was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. All right, and I've got another tip for you. Oh, and the cool thing about having indoor gear to a treadmill and a bike ride trainer is that if you're a parent, it allows you to get in those moments of parenting that are kind of funny and where you're needed around the house. We've been doing this ever since Kai was a little kid. And so I'm on the treadmill today, hammering out an interval. I'm running at like 9 miles per hour. Probably on this one, I was probably doing like an 8% or 9% grade. I'm freaking dying running up this thing, and I'm watching the Challenge Bahrain video on the run. You know, Michael Raylard. Oh, Jody Swallow's freaking killing herself trying to keep up with Helle, and it's so rad, right? And then out of the corner of the room, through the doorway, comes Kai, and he's got milk all across his upper lip, and he goes, Dad. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you like my mustache? And I'm like, oh yeah, wow, you look so powerful with your mustache. That looks great. And he's like, thanks. And then turns around and walks off. And you know, those are those moments that are like, so what's funny is they're so short, but they're so important. You know, he looks for you, your kid looks for you, and you're there. You know, and you give some encouragement and then move on. And then, man, that's what treadmills can do for you. Instead of it being pointed outside, out the front window, it's actually reversed and pointed towards the doorway and out over the living room, so you can parent. You know, when you see the kid run by chasing the dog with a stick or something like that in your living room and Christmas ornaments flying around, then you get to yell at them and say, hey, cut it out, you know. Or the TV's still on in the living room, you can turn that off. You know, if you point it the wrong way out the front window out towards the street, yeah, the view's better, but now you can't see what's going on in your house. Oh, and then I had something else. Training really is all about scheduling, because if you piss off your family members that you're training all the time without letting them know, so much of it is clarity and planning. And I give top secret tips on how to do this better so you don't piss off your family. And one is to go out of your way to let them know ahead of time that you're going to be doing something. And I wonder if I'm in the right lane. So the pool was closed yesterday morning, and I still want to swim, and I know the pool's open. Today's Saturday. I knew the pool was open. On Saturday, I looked it up, 11:30 to 3:30, and I'm like, oh, I could go swim in the middle of the day. You know, but we got family stuff kind of going on, but nothing like all day. It's just kind of whatever. And so early Friday, I texted Emily and said, while she's at work, and I said, hey, I want to swim tomorrow sometime for an hour. And I think you can phrase it like just an hour. It's all in your language. For just an hour. Sometime between 11:30 and 3:30, and got no response for a while. And then after a while, you know, finally, she wrote back, she wrote back, you know, coming from her, I want to go see a movie with Kai sometime during the day. Let's see if we can make it fit, right? Boom, done. So now, because I let her know way ahead of time, it's not like on Saturday, her going, hey, let's go see a movie, and me going, oh man, I want to go swim, and then getting into an argument, or, you know, like the stress of trying to work out the scheduling, because you've already done it way, way ahead of time. And there's lots of people that I coach or give advice to that when they struggle finding time to work out because their spouse or somebody keeps planning stuff during their workout time, I say write what you're going to do, the days and hours that you're planning on working out, and write it on a calendar and put it on the kitchen, put it on the refrigerator or the door in the kitchen or something. And then you can point to it and say, these are the times that I'm going to do whatever. And so that there's no conflict. These times are set, and let's try to do other stuff around that, you know, and there's plenty of time to still do your stuff. And now this is the time that I'm going to do my stuff, and now we can work out who's watching the kids or, you know, whatever you're doing. So anyway, and then I also figured out how to get Garmin Connect to upload directly to Strava. I'm still having trouble finding Garmin and or Strava web widget badges kind of things to show what you've been doing lately and put on your website. Garmin's, I can't find at all. It looks like it might have existed at one point, but then never again. And the Strava has one, but it doesn't do anything. It's empty. So I posted to them a help question and then let it go and went on with my life, and we'll see if they ever reply back. So anyway, that's it. I'm on my way to the pool to go swim. Out, bang. All right, I'm back. I got off the mic there for a second just to go check out the company gym. I've never looked at it before. Man, it's depressing. Oh my. Anyway, it's just enough, and it's way out of the way, so I don't know if I'll ever use it. Anyway, I also had another thought that I wanted to mention on a big problem people have with doing like really easy is like, what's the point, you know, of doing really easy? But what happens is if you do some of your workouts really hard, and then you counterbalance them, you polarize them with easy in between. The easy is actually quite amazing, because I just did one last night, and what happens is so let's say, so last night was Friday. So Thursday I did a hard interval bike ride, you know, really knocking out intervals hard, right? So then the next day, my legs are, and that really improves you, right? It's good, it's perfect. And then the next day, legs are a little bit tight, you know, they're still recovering and stuff. So what a easy workout does that's really beneficial, oh man, red light, is you just pedal along easy, and then after about 45 minutes, and I'm serious, it's about 30 minutes maybe, but definitely by 45 minutes, gradually, just by pedaling or running, you know, like really easy, just settling. And I was watching TV and crap like that while I'm biking along. What this does is it loosens up your body and eventually gets everything kind of flowing again under a non-pressure kind of environment. And it's nice. It's really nice. So that towards the back half, the end of your workout, your numbers actually gradually start to climb up and look good. They look like zone 2, you know, real nice. And so, and what I'm saying, what that does is it primes your body and gets your body back into the flow of feeling normal again, so that the next workout after that, you can actually do intervals again, because you've kind of broken all the rigidity down and got things kind of smooth and supple again by doing just a really easy, nice flow workout. So it's kind of like a recovery workout that people talk about sometimes, in a weird way, and it just gets everything nice and happy again. It gets all the blood going to where everything should go. It gets the joints all flexible again, and just really helps a lot. And for example, I started off last night riding easy, and like riding easy was like 80 RPM and 180 watts or something like that, and like 110 beats per minute. And you have to tell yourself, don't push it. This is easy. Any more than this is you're pushing too hard. Just ride easy, right? Don't try so hard, man. Just back off, right? That's the whole point of this workout, is just to loosen stuff up. And then by the end of it, I was doing 125, I think, beats per minute, and like 250 watts or something, and a cadence of 92, because I had given myself almost an hour of just going nice and easy to kind of break stuff apart, you know? And so then when the next day, if I do a run or a hard run or a hard bike ride, my legs are all nice and happy, right? Because I've worked them up now to a nice good cadence and a nice turnover, and it feels good without much struggle. So there's actually a point to it. It's really cool. Anyway, I thought I'd put that out there for people to use. All right, out bang. All right, this should be the last entry for the week. I want to get this Helle podcast out. But I just did a bike workout, and I have some cool stuff to tell you. So first, let's open a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And I'm literally in my bike shorts, no shirt, pouring sweat. I got a headband and wristbands on. I look like I'm in a Jazzercise video out of the early 80s. But let's open this up with my Sunto bottle opener. It's pretty cool. It's one of those pressed down with a magnetic thing on it. And that reminds me, I've got an old Sunto Quest, and I gave it to Kai. I put a fresh battery in it and put it in it, and he loves it, man. That thing looks rad. And, okay, let's start drinking this Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Oh, I love IPAs. Oh, is this an India Pale Ale or just a Pale Ale? Anyway, I love it. I love Sierra. So first off, I was watching the end of the Challenge Bahrain video, and I saw something freaking hilarious. Watch for Helle to finish. Helle. And then watch her more girls finish, and then they pull Helle aside to interview her. And she's sitting on the couch being interviewed, and they're showing highlights from her racing already, right? And it's just really cool. And then they show in slow motion her crossing the finish line, and then they hand her the banner and stuff, and she's holding it over her head, and then she starts to turn to her left to walk off. And in the background, you see a guy on a stretcher that they're lifting up off the ground and carting him off. And it's like Helle is just crushing it, cruising the finish line, and then there's like, destruction and devastation on the ground around her. It is really, now I feel bad because I feel bad for that guy. I don't know who it was, and but still, it was kind of bizarre. Anyway, you got to watch for that on the video. It's on YouTube. I'll put the link to it on my blog. It's ZenTriathlon.com. And God, it's a long video. It's taken me like half a week of training indoors to actually watch the whole thing. It's pretty cool. Okay, so then the other thing is, on the bike, if your cadence isn't in the mid-90s on the trainer, then what you should do is gear down so that it's easier until your cadence comes up to the mid-90s. Once you go over 100, that's probably too high, but you should make the resistance easy enough on the trainer and out pedaling so that it forces you to eventually work your cadence up to the mid-90s, and it'll take a few workouts, but that's an easy way to do it. And then as your body figures out how to pedal that fast, you feel like you're not even pushing the pedals all that hard. But the power coming off is nice, man. 250 to 270 watts at like 92 to 95 RPM. The pressure you're putting on the pedals doesn't feel like that much. So if you can learn to spin your legs that fast, that's how you do it. So again, drop the resistance and force your legs to start. Don't shift for more resistance until you're into hitting about 100. Then shift for more resistance. And then that'll knock you down to the low 90s again. And that's how you work your cadence up, because a higher cadence puts out more power. It's a rule. It makes you a better cyclist. Okay, low cadence will wear you out and then have you walking on the run. And then the other thing is I've got a Garmin 510 bike computer, which is pretty sweet. I've had it for a while. And it's over time, I've figured out what screens actually really work for in and out training, what data fields on a screen. So I thought I'd share that with you to give you some ideas and tell you why I have what I have on there. So I've got it split. It'll do 10 boxes of data at once. And this is what I have on mine, and I rarely need to go to anything else, because this is it. So I do 10 screens of data. First one on top left is heart rate, right? Because you always want to know how your body's reacting to what you're doing. And then top right is battery. So that's battery percentage of battery life left. And right now it says 81%. And that's kind of like the heart rate of the bike computer. So you can kind of keep an eye on that and make sure that it's going to, your bike computer is going to last throughout the ride, and not surprise you with a sudden conking out. Okay, and then below that on the left, power 3 seconds. Power 1 second power isn't really useful. It jumps around too much, but power 3 seconds is it averages the last 3 seconds. And that kind of smooths it out, but also gives you very, very recent power output. That's what everybody tends to use for current power, is power 3 second average. And then on the right is normalized power. Normalized power is a formula. It's an algorithm, which is just a fancy word for equation, of where if you surge in your power, it gives that a little bit extra points. And so if you're real surgy, which actually wears you out, the normalized power, it's basically average over the past ride or whatever, and over your current ride. So it'll be a little bit higher than your regular average power. And what you want to do is get your normalized power to very close to your average power, and that's a smooth for triathlon, and that's long distance triathlon. That's very smooth power. But that's a more realistic version of power, of what it did to your body versus just average power. Okay, so then below that on the left is current lap, and lap is so sometimes I use the lap function to, and so this is a timer for your lap, how long it's been going, and sometimes I use that for doing intervals, or if I'm on a if I'm doing an Ironman or something like that, and I want to time something like fueling or something like that, then that's really useful. And then lap power to the right of that, and that tells me. So like in an Ironman, sometimes I used to do this, I haven't done it lately, but every 20 minutes I hit the lap button, or you can set it to auto lap if you want, but I set about every 20 minutes to 30 minutes, hit the lap button, and then to the right of that I have lap power, and that tells me what my watts, how much work I've been doing over the past 20 minutes. And then what I do is, because the longer you go for a bike ride, you build up an average, and then anything recent, it's really hard for it to skew the average. So if you're just looking at average over the entire bike ride, you could be really falling off the deep end and sucking, and you won't know it because you've already added up this huge average of the time that you've been out there. So a 5-hour bike ride, and let's say for 5 hours you've averaged 200 watts, and then the last 30 minutes or so, you're now you're falling off and you're putting out 190. Well, that 190 for the last 20, 30 minutes is barely going to affect your 200 watts average that you've been accumulating. So it's better to see what you're doing lately to use a lap function and hit it on a regular basis. And that gets into long distance racing stuff. Okay, so then below that to the left is cadence. And if you're, you always got to keep an eye on your cadence. If your cadence is falling off, then there's something wrong with your fueling or your fitness. And then you don't want your cadence to be too high. You don't want your cadence to be cadence too high, it'll wear you out aerobically. Cadence too low, it'll wear you out muscularly. So you kind of want a sweet spot of cadence. And then to the right of that, this is all on one screen. We still got 3 left. Distance. And distance is useful for, you have a target distance, or let's say you're doing a half Ironman or an Ironman and you want to know kind of where you are. Right? So you're 90 miles in, it'll tell you. And then, although for training, you ought to go out by time and effort, not by distance. And then the distance is what the distance ends up being, because you got wind and hills and stuff like that. But on race day, you need to know that how much you got left. Okay, and then very bottom left is time, and that means how long you've been going. And then the bottom right is time of day, and time of day is very useful for you got to be back at the house at a certain time, and then also for sunscreen. So if it's before 10 a.m., I don't really worry about sunscreen, but once it starts hitting about 10, it depends on the time of year and the overcast and stuff like that, the cloud cover. But if it starts getting to be 10 a.m., I start thinking about putting on sunscreen. And then if it's after 4:30 or so, I don't really worry about it that much anymore. So that's where I use the time of day, both for sunscreen and for like, oh crap, I gotta be back at the house, and let's say you're doing Ironman Texas and you're gonna need some freaking sunscreen for that, and you take off and you just have time and when do you actually put on sunscreen? Well, you wait till it's about 10 a.m. So it's really cool to have that on your bike computer. And so the Garmin 510 is really cool because it shows all this crap, 10 screens of data, and you can just leave it on this and do training and racing with the same thing. And the 510, I think the 500 might have the same amount of screens, but the 510 actually connects by Bluetooth to your cell phone. And then you can do live tracking with your cell phone, and then your spouse can know where you are, so she can call you up and yell at you to get out of traffic, quit playing in traffic again. Oh man, so that's that, huh? Pretty good. But for the live tracking to happen, you have to have your phone actually on you. There's a new Timex watch coming out, or came out, that has a phone chip actually in it, and you won't need to connect it to your phone anymore. That'd be pretty cool for racing, so your spouse knows. Let's say you're doing an Ironman, your spouse knows where you are out on the course, your SO, your significant other. And over all the years, I figured out that what I just told you is actually wonderful for training and racing. And then you have a dedicated bike computer mounted between your aero bars, and what I do is I mount it up as close to my hands as I possibly can, so you don't have to look way down and way back to look at it. And this, you can save a ton of battery life by turning the backlight way down. And I recommend, Suunto makes freaking gorgeous dive computers, and I think they ought to make a bike computer. Man, it would be so pretty. Because a dedicated bike computer between your hands where you can see what you're doing, so it's just phenomenal. So you look down and you see your cadence is good, your heart rate's good, your watts are good, right? And the time of day and kind of where you are, and you can use the lap thing, all of it having it mounted right there is really, really, really cool. And it can change your training forever. It's good stuff. All right, well, but it does, having more than one Garmin device that connects to your phone, they start competing for phone Bluetooth, and they start fighting with each other. And then you end up getting frustrated and yelling at stuff, and then going to forums and typing really hard on your laptop, like, why are you doing this to me? And then you find other people that are just furious because it doesn't work right. Oh my God, it's crazy. All right. Good, out, bang. Hello, I'm back. All right, I just uploaded my bike workout that we were just talking about, and I thought I'd say a couple of things. First off, 831 calories over a 1 hour workout. Let's talk about fueling for a second. When you and still I was aerobic. I was average heart rate was like around 130, something like that, and the whole thing of trying to, not fuel to make yourself metabolically efficient and all that stuff, well, that's a real performance limiter, and you should be careful of that and not get too crazy with that, because 831 calories. Okay, so that means even if you're eating, 200 calories during your workout, you're still like 75% or so using body fat and body fuel for your workout, right? And yeah, so it's just the amount of, you don't want to go over probably half. You definitely don't want to go over half of what you burn. But when you consider that 831 calories in an hour, if you tried to burn that without fueling that at all, just a little bit of fueling, and then you can actually work out a whole lot better and get your body burning and getting a great workout by fueling a little bit. That if you're not taking in anything, then you're actually shortcutting your body from working out as hard as it possibly, as well as it could. Not as hard as it possibly could, but as well as it could. And you think about this, speed and power and all that stuff, to, even if you're going easy, fast people that are, even though they're going easy, are burning a ton of calories to go that fast, And so I was going easy, zone 2, right? And I was still burning 831 calories per minute. And when Joe Filliol and other people talk about, don't worry too much about how many calories you take in while you're actually working out, because you cannot even come close to eating the amount of calories that you're burning. And 831 calories is like, imagine if I tried to eat that while biking. I'd be throwing up all over the place. So what I'm saying is I was able to actually have a really good workout and get up to where I was averaging like 260 watts, because the more watts you put out, the faster you go, the more power you put out, the more calories that takes. And then that's a sliding scale, and then what you need to do is eat a percentage of that, a good healthy percentage of that. And so I probably ate 200 to 250 calories while I was on the bike, and that's still way less than half of what I burned while I was actually on the bike. But if I didn't eat that 250 calories, let's say, then I wouldn't have had the energy to put out the power and watts that I did, and I wouldn't have gotten as good of a workout as I did, and then I wouldn't have improved myself, right? So a lot of us are cutting ourselves off at the knees by not eating enough before and during our workouts, and creating an artificial limiter. The only way I was able to go that well during a workout is by how much I was eating, because I've tried it both ways. And this is the way to do it. And also, I was fighting with the Garmin 510 and uploads and stuff like that. So you have to turn on the Garmin 920 watch. You have to turn the Bluetooth off, and then it goes, oh, there's a I see that there's a bike computer, a 510, that wants to do stuff. And you're like, yeah, there it is. And then it uploads. And then to get what the crazy thing is, the bad thing is, you turn the Garmin 510 all the way off, and then the phone still won't see the 920 again. And it's like, there's no watch there. And even though you turn the Bluetooth back on the 920, and then... So then I tried turning Bluetooth off on the phone all the way and then back on. No difference. And then I killed the Garmin app, and which is double tapping the home screen on the home button on the iPhone, and then turning the app back on. And then it goes, oh, hey, there's no Garmin 510 anymore, but there is this Garmin 920 I want to talk to. And then it goes, boing, and then it turns back on. And the reason you want to do that is because the Bluetooth alert stuff. So, all right, that's it. Out. I need to eat something. All right, that's it for a show. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with some donations. You can help support Zen and Yard Triathlon by going to the left side of zentriathlon.com and hitting up the PayPal link and throwing a donation towards the show. This show is expensive to make. Triathlon's an expensive podcast to be into, an expensive sport to be into, and every little bit helps, and it's a lot of work to make these shows, so your help goes a long, long way, and I really do appreciate it. Again, there's one-time donations, and then there's recurring donations. You can have your choice over there on the left side, and I bow and thank you for helping me out. This is a great cause to spread the information out there to help a lot of people get better at doing the sport of triathlon, and we all appreciate it. So thank you very much. And here is a list of current donors. We got Jonathan Woodman and great, well, I'm sure you like that, Grant Boschert and Hun Chu, and then also William Beck, who sent us an email, and it says, Brett, thank you so much for putting out such a great podcast week after week. It is a big inspiration to me and a lot of fun to listen to. I hope you and your family have had a great holiday and look forward to listening to you in 2015. I am too much of a newbie to do Ultra Baby, or whatever you end up calling it this year, but if you go for 2016, I am in. Cheers, Bill Beck, sent from my Apple cow. So what I deduce from that is your iPhone, you got one of these monstrous iPhones now that it's as big as a car hood, and you're calling it your Apple cow. So the Ultra Baby is where I'm putting on a self-supported Ultraman distance race, but we're going to go 1 mile longer, and that's in the fall, October of 2015. I'm very, very excited about that. And the last I heard, we may have Christine Lynch showing up to do the Ultra Baby. That would be awesome. She and I think our PRs for an Ironman are about the same, and I would be stoked to have her on the starting line and try to race her, and we would just be laughing the whole way anyway. We're good buds, so it would be a ton of fun. So I hope she can make it down. That would be cool. All right, I think that's it. I do have some other donations, but I'll mention those in the next episode because I don't have them right in front of me. I just got them in today. And I should mention that I'm currently full for coaching, but we do have some space on the show and on the website for some advertising. If you want to get your name out there, your product, your thing, your race, your club, anything, let me know at texafornia@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter. I'm ZenTriathlon on Twitter. Let me know and we can work something out, all right? You'll definitely enjoy the results. And as always, I've got some great interviews lined up. So stay tuned and be ready for some more of those. All right, everybody stay safe out there. Have a nice holiday. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out. Do you pronounce your first name Helle or Hell or Helly or how should I say it?
Helle is fine.
Helle, okay.
Yeah.
Is it fine or is it right?
That's right. Don't call me Hell.
No, I hope not.